This is 26-year-old Dawson McGee, sitting in a police interrogation room in the early hours of a Tuesday morning. The Monday night before, he stabbed his own mother to death for asking him to move out of the house and get a job. Dawson is unaware that he is being recorded on a hidden camera. In 3 seconds from now, he will hear the sound of the door being opened by a detective. And at that exact moment, you will see a remarkably noticeable switch in his demeanor.
I've got something I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about what happened to your mom.
What happened to my mom?
Well, you tell me.
People called me and said something happened at home to Mom. They were very bad. What happened to my mom?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
I was waiting for my brother and sister to tell me.
Okay. Well, so, was your sister home this weekend?
Wait, I'm supposed to have an attorney?
If you want one.
Am I supposed to have an? I should request an attorney.
Well, that's up to you if you like one. But I mean, we'd like to talk to you.
You're supposed to have an attorney. Go on, I would offer. I would ask for an attorney.
You want to ask for an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
It would come as no surprise that a judge deemed him fit to stand trial. A jury then found him legally sane, and he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his mother. All of which was in spite of a continuous charade of mental illness similar to the one you see here. Dawson clearly believed that his passage through the legal system would somehow be easier if he were presumed insane, which is a naive, yet somewhat common misconception that many suspects make when facing serious charges. They have this notion that a plea of insanity would either lower the severity of their punishment or liberate them from it altogether. That instead of being sent to prison, they would simply be released back into society, perhaps with a free psychotherapeutic program to attend on the weekends. This is, of course, a far cry from reality. In the United States, if you're found responsible for a serious offense, but also found not guilty of the crime by reason of insanity, you will be institutionalized at a high-security psychiatric facility. These institutions are without question some of the darkest and most disturbing places in the system. And if you're not actually suffering from the crippling effects of mental illness, living in this type of environment will be a mentally agonizing experience. The foresight of what occurs inside these units would make the majority wish to avoid them. But once you are in, it is very hard to get out, and you will have to serve the same, if not a greater amount of time than you would have had to serve at a regular prison. So to put it briefly, if you commit a serious offense and then pretend to be crazy in order to get away with it, your life from that point forward will be an extremely dark and uncomfortable existence whether you manage to fool the system or not. But there is one benefit, which is the elimination of capital punishment. The United States cannot execute someone deemed insane during the time of their offense, which is the only conceivable reason a defendant would cling to this narrative even after knowing what lies ahead should it succeed. And this happens to be a notion that ties in closely to the primary subject of this video. It will focus on one particular individual whose interrogation footage is so fraught with blatant trickery that most of the segments presented to you won't even need suggestive commentary. You can simply observe and judge for yourself whether you see authentic behavior or not. But before showing you what pretending to be crazy looks like, we'll briefly show you a genuine case of the criminally insane, or at least a far more convincing one. This is 18-year-old Jared Murray, a freshman at East Central University in Oklahoma. On a Wednesday evening in December, he asked fellow student Gennaro Sanchez for a ride to Walmart. Once they got there, Murray pulled out a handgun and made Gennaro drive to an isolated country road where he shot him twice in the head. He then attempted to hitchhike to Canada, but was soon apprehended by police on the side of the road. He immediately confessed to the crime once apprehended, and was then interrogated by the arresting officer.
I went down to his dorm room and asked if I could be given a ride to Walmart in exchange for $20 gas money.
So he took you to Walmart?
Yes, sir.
And did you both go in?
No, we did not go in, sir.
Okay, and why not?
We pulled into the parking lot, then I pulled the weapon on him and demanded that he take me to Asher, Oklahoma, sir.
Okay, and why did all of a sudden did you decide that you needed to go to Asher?
because I was planning to take him out into the country and kill him.
Okay. Did he say anything?
He panicked, went to pull out his phone. I yanked the phone out of his hand, and then he panicked some more, kept telling me not to kill him. To make him feel more comfortable, I unloaded the clip, unloaded the bullet from the chamber, handed them over to him, and that eased his nerves a little. Then I pulled a second clip out of my pocket and set it on my lap.
And so you're driving east, and so I guess at some point, did you decide now was the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what happened?
I loaded the gun quickly, chambered the round quickly, shot once, missed, shot a second time, hit, jumped out of the car, went around. He was driving 10-15 miles an hour, so it was rather slow. Ran around the hood of the car, and of course it was slow when he wasn't purposefully driving. Tried to pull him out, couldn't get him out until he already had hit the tree. Pulled him out there, dumped him into the, before I dumped him into the ditch, I heard him gurgling. I'm not sure if that was a physiological or physical process after death, but I thought that he might have still lived through that somehow, because he was gurgling, so I shot him again and then shoved him down in the ditch.
He makes a half-hearted attempt to conceal the body with a handful of leaves and a stick. He then walks in the direction of the highway.
Did you get back on the highway?
Yes, sir.
And which way did you go?
North, sir.
And what were your intentions? You were walking north.
Canada, sir.
You was going to Canada?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He states that his plan was to escape into Canada, but he had nothing to escape with, not even a passport.
I had tried hitchhiking most of the way because the only way this was going to work, factoring in my belief that y'all found the crime scene, is if someone were to give me a ride there and then. And then whenever your patrol car was pulling up behind me, I didn't know it was a patrol car. I stuck my thumb out and you was there for the rest.
Jerry, I want to ask you just point blank, because, I mean, you sat here and confessed to...
Pretty much everything.
In my mind, and I think you might agree with me, just cold-bloodedly killed a young man tonight.
Yes, sir.
Or last night. Have you ever killed anybody else?
No, sir.
You will now see the detective attempt to establish a motive for the crime.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding what you got out of it. Can you help me?
I don't really get anything out of it.
Do you feel any remorse?
I'm sad that I got caught so quickly.
Tell me why I should believe you that there just was going to be one person that was going to suffer from your consequences of killing.
You have no reason to believe me, sir.
I guess I'm just still having a real hard time understanding why.
The detective fails to establish a solid motive for a further 2 minutes. The discussion eventually lands on the victim's long-term girlfriend.
You don't think she's going to be upset, heartbroken?
I think she will be, sir.
How does that make you feel?
No different, sir.
Okay. I think you've been honest with me. I think you've told me just straight up, right out of the book, what happened.
Yes, sir.
But, you've done a terrible thing tonight.
Yes, sir.
You killed a young man.
Yes, sir.
Just for the simple fact of, I guess pretty much just to say for you.
Yes, sir.
And what do you think should happen to you?
Death sentence, sir.
And why do you think you deserve the death sentence?
An eye for an eye, sir.
Do you believe an eye for an eye?
Yes, sir.
Jared Murray was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He was committed to a high-security mental facility where he is to remain indefinitely.
Anything to say for yourself today?
No, ma'am.
Any reason why you might have done this, young man?
No, ma'am.
No reason.
No, ma'am.
You have nothing to say for yourself.
No, ma'am.
You want to tell the community anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you confess to police?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you proud of what you've done?
No, ma'am.
Do you have remorse for what you've done?
No, ma'am.
He appears completely void of human emotion. No regret, remorse, shame, nor fear. He had both taken a life and destroyed his own, yet seems indifferent to the circumstances. With respect to his interrogation footage, the most conspicuous element was the complete lack of self-preservation. He didn't once attempt to deflect blame, nor afford himself any type of justification for his actions. He simply spoke in a factual, non-biased manner, impartial to how his words may have been taken or even twisted to be used against him. There was no calculated structure to his behavior whatsoever. So with this notion in mind, let's move on to the primary subject of this video.
Not fine. Good. Just put there a minute, have a seat on the bar chair. All right. Put your hands up a little bit. Have a seat. Did you feet up? No, do not think about getting up, right, buddy?
This is 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, who 3 hours and 55 minutes prior to this moment murdered 17 people at his former high school in Parkland, Florida. Among the dead were 3 teachers and 14 students, the majority of whom were 14 years old. A further 17 students were seriously wounded during the massacre. The gunman dropped his rifle 7 minutes into the rampage and then blended in with the crowd as he ran out of the building. He was at large for 1 hour and 20 minutes, during which time he stopped off at a Subway and then a McDonald's, where he sat down and casually spoke to one of the victim's brothers. The student was unaware that his older sister had just been shot through the chest by the man sitting across the table. The description of the shooter was transmitted by police over the radio, which led to an officer identifying and arresting him on a street just 2 miles away from the school. He was taken to the nearest hospital and examined by a doctor for roughly 1 hour and 45 minutes. He was medically cleared and then transferred to the local sheriff's office where he was subjected to interrogation.
No, do not think about getting up, right, buddy?
From the moment the subject entered the room, his eyes have been fixed upon nothing but the floor. He's held on to this downward-facing gaze as if he's either in a state of shock or disconnected from the moment. At the exact moment the door shuts, he lifts up his head to observe his surroundings. His behavior completely shifts once he believes no one is watching. If we look at his demeanor a moment earlier, we can see the contrast. He went from being detached to alert. His behavior changed as the environment changed, which is a recurring theme throughout this interrogation. It shows us that his mind isn't wandering off during these moments of apparent disconnection. He is in fact fully present and very aware of what's going on around him. As he looks up, his eyes immediately lock onto the camera. He now knows he is still being watched, and his following gestures will resemble that of someone with suicidal tendencies. At face value, these externalized suicidal thoughts may seem genuine to some, but when framed with the rest of his behavior throughout this interrogation, they are exposed for what they really are: an act, a calculated attempt to garner sympathy and paint his character in what he believes to be a more positive light.
All right, how you doing, Nick? You all right? Gotta be able to speak so I can hear you. Alright, I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and then I'm going to see you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name?
This is a situation where the proof against the suspect is already conclusive. He is without question responsible for the crimes under investigation, making the pursuit of a confession not essential. The police know he did it, but they need to know why he did it, which would already require a complex strategy in order to obtain the correct information. But the suspect's first recorded statements upon his arrest have now made the procedure considerably more difficult.
What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Voices.
Yeah, no problem.
Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices? What happened?
Shut up.
Just be quiet, man.
Shut up.
Demons, man. Voices.
These two words have now forged the primary stratagem of his own interrogation, which is to cut through deception under the guise of supportive examination. The questions will be designed to lock him into a specific narrative about his alleged psychosis, while simultaneously giving him the impression that his responses are for his own benefit. Anything he says now can be used to refute any amendments he might come up with at a later stage. We all know that after this interrogation, he will have significantly more time to think, study, and even seek guidance from professionals about how the legal system interconnects with mental illness. Yet the majority of this forthcoming knowledge could be useless to him depending on what he says during these moments. The more details he gives away, the less options he will have for his defense later on. But pursuing this objective is complicated, as there are two very common scenarios for when this type of suspect gets interrogated. And just to be entirely clear, by this type of suspect, we mean someone who is 1. Pretending to be insane, and 2. Not fooling anyone. Their most common response is to simply shut down. They regress into total silence or some type of catatonic state, and the interrogation never gets off the ground. The other common response is the exact opposite. They erupt into hysteria or supposed delirium, and everything from that point forward becomes incoherent. The lead detective, John Curcio, must not allow either of these scenarios to transpire, and this makes the first 2 minutes absolutely crucial. He needs to create a positive first impression and resemble the furthest thing from a threat, while at the same time maintain a presence of authority. His temperament will be easygoing and non-confrontational, but also encouraging when extracting a response. His role at this moment is the ally. He needs to be liked, respected, but must not be feared. Not yet anyway. Going off the suspect's initial demeanor, the detective will know that he is far more likely to regress into a state of silence at this opening stage, and if he can prevent that from happening within the first 2 minutes, he is over the first obstacle.
All right, how you doing, Nick? I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and then I'm going to see you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name? Come on, Nick. Huh?
Nicholas.
Spell it for me.
Okay.
Come on, I'm old. You got to talk so I can hear you. N-I-K. O.
L.
Okay. A-S. And what's your middle name? Come on, man. Speak so I can hear you.
Jacob.
Jacob. J-A-C. What's your date of birth? Okay, you need to relax, because I'm the last detective or policeman you're going to have to talk to. So right off the bat, that should be somewhat comforting to you to know that I'm the last guy you got to talk to. But the thing about it is, look at me. I got to be able to hear you. Okay? So all I want to do is get basic information from you, and then we'll get into the, whether you want a glass of water, all that stuff. What's your date of birth?
09.
January?
09.
09 September.
The investigation team already know the answers to these basic questions. Their only purpose are to initiate a response, and their non-threatening nature make it more likely for the suspect to engage. They are essentially the opening wedge to get the two-way dialogue flowing. And although the suspect is still partially committed to his catatonic state, as we can clearly see, he is still responsive, making it unlikely for him to regress into complete silence from this point forward. Everything up to this moment has gone to plan. The detective has one foot in the door, and he can now develop the relationship from a more secure position. He goes about this with a standard method of rapport development, the offer of food and water.
All right, let me do this. You want cold water? You don't know if you want cold water?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to bring in 2, because I want one. It was hot, and if you decide you want to have it, that's fine. You sure you don't want something to eat? Okay.
The refusal to accept food and water is a familiar response which you may have already seen on this channel. It's a glaring manifestation of shame. This is not to be confused with guilt nor remorse, both of which require the acceptance of responsibility, which in turn directs our focus outwards on the feelings of others. Shame, on the other hand, shifts our focus on the perceptions of others towards ourselves. The subject is afraid of how it will look if he accepts the offer considering the circumstances. He instead wants to appear as if he's so negatively affected by the events that he's unconcerned with meeting his basic needs.
Of course, I have so many different keys. All right, I'll be right back.
Once again, his demeanor abruptly switches when the detective leaves the room. With his head buried in his hands, it's anyone's guess as to what is going through his mind at this moment. But what you are about to see next is extremely revealing. Cruz was a left-handed shooter. The surveillance at the school would confirm this, and if you pay close attention to the movements of his hands in the next moments, although very subtle, you can see that he's reimagining holding his weapon. But what's more telling is how his demeanor abruptly stops and then completely switches right before he looks in the direction of the camera. He goes from holding a rifle and beginning to smirk, to then pretending to cry and reverting back to his suicidal mannerisms. This all occurs in under 4 seconds. It could be assumed that for a brief moment, he was not only recollecting the attack, but gaining gratification from doing so. He then remembered he was on film, giving reason for the sharp adjustment. His true self was reliving the attack and enjoying his work, while his false self was so dejected to the point he was externalizing suicidal thoughts. Complete opposites. His next calculated charade is one of self-harm. He first bites himself without drawing blood, or leaving any marks that were visible in his jail intake photographs. He then scratches and squeezes at the 2 needle punctures in his arm from where his blood was taken at the hospital. At the very moment the detective re-enters the room, he will act as if he's desperately trying to conceal his self-injurious behavior.
All right.
Setting aside the glaring contradiction that he just murdered and maimed dozens of people while leaving himself without so much as a scratch, it's the frequency of these little charades that makes their deception so transparent. This is a person who is not self-injurious, pretending to be someone that is. But it's such a feeble attempt at feigned self-harm, it would almost be a comical moment if the circumstances weren't as horrific.
Well, if they're not bleeding anymore, you want them off, we can pull them off. I'll get you a garbage can. You want them off? Just put them on the throw them on the floor in the corner. Alright, this one is mine, because I already opened it. This one's yours in case you change your mind.
The next 4 minutes are the extremely tedious process of getting the subject to engage further through basic questions. The topic of his phone will now be brought up.
What about your phone? Do you have a phone?
I lost it.
When did you lose it? Today? Okay. What kind of phone is it?
I don't know.
Okay, is it a flip top, an iPhone, a Samsung?
It's a phone.
It's a phone. What's the number?
I can't remember.
Okay.
He will now begin to feign a state of hysteria, which then morphs into a simulated panic attack and fake hyperventilation. The detective will need to refute the act immediately as to not let the subject gain confidence with it, but he also has to maintain rapport and avoid confrontation. He essentially has to tell the subject to knock it off, but in the most passive manner possible.
I can't remember, dude. I can't.
Okay, Nick, calm down.
Okay.
You've already been medically cleared. I know what's going to be talked about is difficult, but again, you don't remember your phone number. How long you had the phone? How long have you had the phone? Nick, the doctor's already looked at you.
Okay.
Okay, you're fine. You're not having any problems at the moment, and you're perfectly fine. So calm your breathing down, all right? And I want to believe certain things that you're going to tell me, but, you know, if we're getting where you're going to hyperventilate over a phone number, okay? All right. So what's your phone number? Huh?
954.
Okay, 954.
The manic episode is somewhat curbed, but the subject is still clearly committed to it.
954-821.
2007.
2007.
No. 1007.
1007. And again, going back to what kind it is. Do you know if it's an iPhone, a Samsung?
I don't know.
How long have you had it? Every kid knows what the phone is, man. I got kids your age.
Ever since my mother died.
I know, I heard about that. That's what I was going to talk about next.
This is a turning point. Cruz's adoptive mother had indeed passed away the year prior from pneumonia. The topic is sympathetic towards himself, and it seems to have stopped the feigned hysteria in its tracks. Compared to his neurotic behavior in the minutes leading up to this moment, he all of a sudden appears calm. He is clearly receptive, and thus responsive, to the cue of compassion when it's directed at himself. The detective recognizes this, and although he said he would talk about the subject's mother next, he instead focuses on it immediately to keep him engaged.
Alright. So, but you had, since your mom died, how long has your mom passed?
I can't remember, I think.
Okay. This
November.
year or last year?
November.
November? Okay. Okay, when your mom passed, were you living with her?
Yes.
Okay, what city was that?
Parkland.
Parkland?
The subject drops the act and becomes more engaged in the conversation. The detective inquires further about his mother for roughly 3 minutes before shifting the discussion. It focuses mainly on the subject's background, and he first declares that he was depressed for the majority of his childhood. He then reveals his history of drug use, which consists of marijuana and Xanax. After that, he claims to have attempted suicide by alcohol poisoning 2 years ago, but in his own words, was able to sleep it off. He then states that he was employed at the Dollar Tree for the last 2 years working as a cashier.
So you've been able to hold down a job for 2 years, that's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Other than Dollar Tree, where else did you ever work?
Lawn mowing.
What?
Lawn mowing.
Lawn mowing? Oh, okay. Alright, when you tried to kill yourself with alcohol, your mom was still alive. What were you depressed about back then?
Loneliness.
Loneliness?
Loneliness.
Friends? No friends? Or what kind of loneliness? I mean, everybody gets lonely.
Solitude.
Solitude? You don't have a lot of friends?
No.
Okay. Today, when I say today, starting from last night when you went to bed to this morning, did you do any kind of drugs at all? Any Xanax, any marijuana, anything like that? No? Okay.
The subject reveals that he has a biological brother whom he was adopted with. He then claims to have been making $1,200 a month at the Dollar Tree. The discussion now lands on what his aspirations were.
When you weren't depressed, what did you want to be when you got out of school?
Ranger.
A ranger? An Army Ranger? Did you ever apply, fill out any paperwork to try to go to the Army?
I took the ASVAB, failed.
Okay, why'd you fail?
Because I was stupid.
You what?
I'm stupid.
You're stupid? Okay, were you going to take it again?
I was afraid to take it.
Okay, but you had aspirations to do something with your life. You wanted to be that's a hell of a thing to want to be, an Army Ranger.
The discussion moves on to the subject's gun collection, which continues for roughly 4.5 minutes. The attack on the school is yet to be mentioned, but the last gun to now be discussed was his choice of weapon to commit the massacre.
What made you choose out of all the guns to want to buy an AR-15?
Cool looking.
Cool looking? Okay. Now when you bought it, I mean, it was a legitimate purchase. They gave you a receipt and everything, right? So you bought it legally, right? Did you fill out those forms and everything? Okay, you remember those forms? Okay.
The detective now shifts the topic onto his former high school, the same place he carried out the attack.
Now, 3 years ago when you went to Douglas, and obviously you stopped going there, why'd you stop going there?
My depression worsened.
Your depression worsened? And what was going on? Did you just stop school on your own, or did some incident happen where...
Yes, some incident.
Well, what was the incident that happened?
Fought a kid.
You fought a kid? You remember the kid's name?
Yeah.
Ian. And did you guys both get in trouble for the fight, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did they do? Suspend you?
They suspended me.
Okay. And what happened from there? After you got suspended, you go back to school?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened then? Why'd you stop going there then?
Felt embarrassed.
You felt embarrassed because you got suspended, or you felt embarrassed because of why?
Because of the fight.
Okay. Well, what was embarrassing about the fight? What were you guys fighting over?
A girl.
A girl? Well, what was embarrassing about it? I mean, did he get the better of you? Was that what was embarrassing, or he got the better of you? Okay.
He has just provided the state with a solid argument for a motive. Establishing a reason for an offense is critical when dealing with claims of insanity. It can not only indicate premeditation, but also calculated malice in connection to the crime, something considered absent in the mind of the criminally insane. He also asserts that he was lonely and depressed while attending the school, all of which can reinforce the argument that he was exacting revenge upon the community in which he felt ostracized.
Alright, so you go back to school. What ends up happening? You just stop going to school out there, or you got into more problems?
Got into more problems.
What was the more problems?
Failing class.
Okay.
Not going to school.
Okay. And this was all while your mom was still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Did there come a point in time where you just stopped going there, or they expelled you?
Or I just stopped going and then transferred me.
They transferred you? When they transferred you, was that upsetting to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
As we know, the suspect has made the claim about hearing a voice which he labeled the demon. The detective will now attempt to get a detailed narrative of these perceptual disturbances. He will do so by asking a series of open-ended questions, and then continuous follow-up questions thereafter. This will lock him into specific claims about what he was hearing. The more information he gives away, the less he will be able to amend later on. And the more questions that are posed, the more likely he is to make contradictions that can be used against him. The suspect believes this is some type of clinical evaluation for the sake of his own well-being, and this misconception will become glaringly apparent later on. He, at this moment, is oblivious to the fact he is giving information away that will be used to cut through his own defense in years to come.
You go to the hospital, the doctors clear you, and you're talking about demons. What are the demons?
The voices.
Well, tell me about it. What are the voices about?
It's another voice, the evil side.
Okay. And how long has that voice been going on?
Years.
Did you ever tell anybody about the voice? Never? And what does the voice say to you?
Burn, kill, destroy.
Okay, burn, kill, destroy what?
Anything.
Okay, but have you ever burned, killed, or destroyed anything? What have you burned, killed, or destroyed?
Burned, just fire. Set fire.
To what?
In a pit. Fire.
Oh, a fire pit. Okay, well, I mean, the voice told you to burn something, you built a fire in a fire pit. What's destructive about that? That's what fire pits are made for. What else did the voice tell you to do that's...
Kill animals.
Okay, have you ever killed animals?
Yes.
What kind of animals?
Birds.
Birds? Wild birds or people's
Birds.
pets? How do you kill them?
Birds.
How do you kill them?
Wait for them, kill them.
Oh, can't catch them, so how are you waiting for them?
Work out in the grass. Wait for a bird to come up.
There's no way, man. I'm a bird lover. There's no way. You can't catch a bird, Holmes.
No, I mean like...
with a pellet gun? Oh, okay. Where's your pellet gun?
It broke.
Okay. Alright, so the voices tell you to hurt animals and start fires in the fire pit. When was the last time you heard the voice?
Yesterday.
What time was it yesterday?
It was at night.
Okay. And where were you at?
Work.
You were at work? So you're at Dollar Tree. And what's the voice telling you?
Hurt people.
To hurt people. Hurt people at Dollar Tree? Or hurt people?
Hurt people in general.
Okay. Doesn't say specifically who? Alright. Can you tell how old the voice is?
My age.
Okay. Do you have a good voice too, or just a bad voice? Is there a voice inside you that says, do good things?
The detective will now start getting confrontational, and the subject's behavior will shift once more in response. You will see him get defensive as he attempts to protect his narrative, and his responses will become much faster. He will even cut the detective off multiple times. Keep in mind that he was barely saying anything at the start of this interrogation.
No?
So it's bad.
Can't be. You held down a job for 2 years. If you were doing things bad, you wouldn't be able to hold a job down for 2 years, right? Okay. I mean, look. Everybody has.
It's me and then my bad side.
I understand. Everybody's got a quote good and bad side. There's people.
No, it's a voice. The voice isn't here, and it's me. Just regular me. Just trying to be a good person.
Okay.
Set aside his contradicting behavior for a moment and focus solely on his storyline. In his ideal scenario, we are to believe that he was battling these supposed voices and, in his own words, trying to be a good person. Yet he was unable to reveal or seek help for this internal struggle until the very moment of his arrest. It was quite literally the second he was confronted with his comeuppance that his supposed demons came to light. Now that he is in custody, with the atrocities already committed, he is somehow able to maintain control over the force that was previously keeping him silent. But a deleted video that would later be extracted from his phone would tell a very different story.
Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. Location is Stone Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event, and when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am.
There are no signs of perceptual disturbances. There is no anguish, doubt, hesitation, or uncertainty when announcing his intentions. By his own narrative, he claims to have continuously fought against the evil intentions of the voice. Yet from a visual standpoint, there is no conflict in this video whatsoever.
It's me and then my bad side.
I understand. Everybody's got a quote good and bad side. There's people.
No, it's a voice. The voice isn't here, and it's me. Just trying to be a good person.
Okay. But obviously, again, when you say it's a voice, it's you. It's all you. The voice is you as well.
Yeah.
The voice didn't force you to do anything, right?
No, the voice did. It's two voices. There's one half that's the good and then the bad.
Yeah.
His rapidly interchanging behavior has now gone from catatonic to manic to hallucinatory to now highly attentive and cautious.
Okay, well, the voice tells me to go to lunch and not pay for my meal, but I pay for my meal because I know that's the right thing to do, right? Okay, let's talk about it. Did the voice didn't tell you to take Uber, right?
Yes, it did.
It did?
Yes.
The voice said take Uber.
Yes.
Did
the voice is in me.
You're the voice.
No, in here.
Okay, it's in your head.
Yes.
What is it, a male voice or a female voice?
Male.
Male?
The subject was beginning to panic, but the detective dials it in for the time being and switches the discussion back to more trivial matters. It seems that he wants to consult with the investigators outside before maximizing the pressure, and he reestablishes a certain level of trust before leaving the room.
Let me go. I'm going to go back and see what everybody's doing as far as what they need me to do.
You're not a psychologist or anything? Or?
No, I'm not. I'm a 59-year-old man who's raised 3 children, so I guess that makes me somewhat of a psychologist.
Think you can give me a psychologist here?
I can certainly ask.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a psychologist before?
No.
Okay.
The subject scratches his arm for another 2 minutes. He then switches to a hallucinatory state and appears to be seeing things in the room.
All right. Got some stuff here.
The detective will once more dismiss the act by pretending to not see it. He will then pose a question to the subject, and the charade will cease immediately.
You with the water. Well, you put it back over here. You definitely don't want the water, huh?
It's very interesting to observe his facial expressions at the exact moments he abandons fake behavior. These are the very brief junctures in which his true self appears to surface. It's easy to get distracted by the present situation as he sits there in a hospital gown chained to the floor, essentially helpless to the cunning devices being used against him. But in moments like this, we are reminded of what we're actually dealing with. A very short time ago, he was not helpless at all. He was the one preying on the helpless, offering them none of the sympathy nor mercy of which he is now trying to garner for himself.
All right, this psychologist you want to talk to. Obviously, I would have to tell him what you want to talk to him about. So, what exactly do you want me to ask him, or why do you want to talk to a psychologist?
Find out what's wrong with me.
Well, what do you think's wrong with you?
I don't know.
The detective in this next segment will attain further information about the supposed voices, only he will no longer have to tread carefully in order to maintain a friendly connection. He will still secure useful information, but also get confrontational as and when he pleases. The risk of frightening the suspect to the point where it stops the interrogation is no longer a concern.
When you hear the voices, are the voices like outside your head or inside your head when you hear them?
Inside.
Okay, so it's not like you don't hear a voice from that corner talking to you. It's inside your head. And is it always the same voice, or is it only one voice?
One voice, same.
And you said it's a man's voice? Yeah.
Yes.
Does it sound like anybody you've ever met? Anybody you ever seen on TV? Can you tell, like, by an accent? Is it what kind of? Is it an old man, young man, white man, black?
Man.
Young man? About the same age as you think? But it's only one voice you ever hear, right?
Yes.
Do you hear the voice when you're in bed at night sleeping?
Yes.
Do you ever see anything with the voice? Like some people say, oh, I see a person sitting in the corner. You don't see anybody sitting over there, do you? It's just me and you, right? All right. Do you always obey what the voice tells you to do?
I try not to.
Okay. Well, how many on any given week? How many times do you think you hear the voice? All the time?
Once every day.
Once every day? Morning, afternoon, night? Always the same time?
Usually in the afternoon.
About what time?
11 to 12.
Why do you think it's those hours?
I don't know.
It's always around lunchtime? Now, you talked about demons, and then you talk about the voice.
Yeah, that's the demon. The voice is the demon.
The voice is the demon. So there's not
the
two...
The person, whoever it is.
Does it have a name?
No name.
Does it ever say, hey, my name's Nick? Does it use your name or use somebody else's name? Just a voice with no name.
Just a voice with no name telling me what to do.
Did the voice tell you to buy that AR-15?
Yes.
Did it tell you, hey, buy that gun, it looks cool? Did the AR-15 get picked out because it was similar to the gun that an Army Ranger would carry?
No, it was because of the voice.
What do you think if you didn't buy it, if you said, hey, I ain't buying these guns, it's too expensive, what do you think the voice would have done to you? Did you stop talking to you?
No, tell me to hurt myself.
How would you hurt yourself?
Cut.
You're a cutter?
I'm a cutter.
All right. When was the last time you cut yourself?
Earlier.
Earlier when?
When I was fishing.
Earlier today or
earlier today?
Where were you fishing at today?
At a lake.
Okay. Before the school shooting?
Yes.
What did you cut yourself with?
A knife.
Those little scratches on your arms? Let me look at them. Come on, man. I get worse scratches weeding my flower bed than that. You weren't trying to hurt yourself.
Yes, I was. It wasn't sharp enough.
Wasn't sharp enough?
No.
How many knives do you own?
4, 5.
How long have you been cutting yourself?
Years.
Years? You ever cut yourself where you had to go to the hospital and get stitches? When you cut yourself, it's because the voice just told you to cut yourself. And if you didn't talk or you didn't listen to the voice, then you were going to be alone because your voice was your only friend. That's kind of what you're saying. Even though you have a biological brother. Since me and you have been talking, have you heard the voices? What's it said?
Saying to cut yourself.
For you to cut yourself. Does the voice like me?
Huh?
Does the voice like me?
He doesn't trust you.
Why doesn't he trust me? I'm pretty relaxed, ain't I?
I'm trying to figure that out too.
Well, what doesn't he like about me? I mean, I'm kind of grinning because I want to know what the voice's problem is with me. What doesn't he like about me? I treated you fairly. I've given you water. I talked nice to you. You know.
You're too nice.
I'm too nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times has the voice talked to you while we've been in the room here together?
A lot.
Has the voice said jump out of the chair and do anything bad to that policeman?
Saying kill yourself now.
I don't really believe there is a voice, to be honest with you.
There's a voice.
No, I don't think there is.
I'm telling you the truth. There is.
No. I mean, I feel you probably want to kill yourself because of what happened, but...
No, the voice is telling me to kill myself.
Okay, but the voice is telling you that the AR-15s is... You like guns, man. You wanted to be a ranger. You like guns. It's all right. There's cops like that. There's cops who got 50 million guns. You didn't buy guns because the voice said, hey, today I like Mossbergs, tomorrow I like AR-15s. You like guns.
Can you call the psychologist?
I've already got the questions from some of the psychologists. Some of the questions I asked you were from... Yeah.
I see.
That's the ones I asked you. You already...
No.
The questions were obviously from the investigation team and not a psychologist, but the suspect doesn't know this, and it's fascinating to observe his reaction when he sees the questions are not sympathetic in nature. He perhaps thought a psychotherapist would be asking him about his feelings and affording him some type of reassurance after he committed mass murder, and he becomes very unsettled once he realizes the procedure won't be quite as sympathetic.
Voices. Are they inside or outside of your head? What do the voices say? These are all questions I asked you. How many voices? You said one. Whose voice do you think it was? You didn't know.
What the f*** is wrong with me?
I don't know. I don't understand why you can't admit you like guns. You want to talk to a psychologist. Why didn't you talk to a psychologist when the voices started?
The voice is telling me not to, and I listen.
The voice was telling you not to talk to a psychologist?
Yeah, but myself, I wanted to.
You ever go to church?
I wanted to.
No, I'm saying ever in your life.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
I don't believe in God.
What do you believe in?
I feel like there's something.
Okay. But if you believe in demons, do you believe in angels? Angels is the good. Demons are the bad. But when you say the word demon, you think it's an evil spirit? Or what do you think it is?
A voice.
The subject had earphones in during the mass shooting. The topic now lands on the music he was listening to.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we don't like the same music. What kind of music we listen to? Name the group.
What was it? Mark Green.
You have to help me. Mark what?
Mark something.
What was the song though?
Sad.
That's the name of the song, Sad?
No, Salad Days.
Salad Days? Hold on one second.
What else?
Oh, you listen to more than one song? What other song you listen to?
Just a lot of sad songs.
Alright. Did you pick the music yourself? Or did the demon pick the music?
The demon, and then myself partially.
Alright, which ones did you pick?
The sad ones.
Which ones did he pick?
The evil ones.
The evil ones. Give me an evil one compared to a sad one. You already gave me a sad one. What's an evil one?
Panzermensch.
What?
Panzermensch.
Panzermensch. And what does that say?
I don't know.
I mean, there's no lyrics to it?
Oh, no. Oh, well, there is lyrics, but I don't know what it means.
But is it in English?
No.
What language is it in?
German.
German? Do you speak German?
No.
Then how do you know what the lyrics mean?
I don't.
So they could be happy, right?
I don't know if they're happy or not.
Well, again, you don't because you can't speak it.
The demon chose it. I didn't choose it.
But you have them on your. How long do you think you had them on your playlist?
A long time.
Okay, so you've listened to them a lot of times. So you had a playlist of music that the demon helped you pick out, but you picked out some of them. I'm just having a tough time understanding this demon thing.
I know. Nobody understands.
Well, the Xanax you were talking to me about earlier, where'd you get the Xanax? On the street or?
On the streets.
So you used to buy that? Other than Xanax and marijuana, what other drugs you never tried? Vodka? PCP? Cocaine? Heroin?
No.
Okay, Xanax, how many of those did you take when you used to take them?
5.
Okay, 5. What size bar? How big? What color was it?
Half, sometimes full.
Okay, what color? They all
white.
White. All right, but that was off the street. Did they help you sleep?
It made me drowsy.
Okay. Did it make the demon go away?
Yeah.
When was the last time you think you did Xanax?
A long time.
So if the Xanax helps you get the demons away,
marijuana does it better.
Marijuana does better? When was the last time you smoked marijuana?
Last week.
Last week? But you're making $1,200 a week. Why didn't you smoke marijuana every day to get rid of the demon?
Illegal.
It's illegal?
Yeah.
It's illegal. It was illegal whether you do it once a week or once every 5 minutes. So why didn't you choose to get rid of the demon by doing it? Anytime you heard the demon, just light up a blunt. I mean, you had the money, man.
Because I knew it was illegal and I didn't want to do wrong, but he wanted to do wrong.
Okay. So the demon wanted you to do wrong, but then your good side didn't want to do wrong by smoking marijuana?
Even though it made him go away.
Even though it made him go away. Huh. Well, I don't know why you didn't tell the doctor then you had anxiety problems and marijuana and Xanax cured your anxiety and made the demons go away. It seemed like an easy fix, man. If that's true. You sure you didn't like the demon's voice?
I don't like the demon's voice.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Then why didn't you go to a doctor to get rid of it?
I was afraid. I'm just afraid.
Why? Well, forget that for a second. Let me ask you another crazy question.
Okay.
Was the demon there that night? Ian beat you up on campus?
Huh?
Was the demon there that day when Ian beat you up on campus?
Yes. He told me to go up to him.
Okay, so who did Ian beat up? You or the demon?
Me.
Okay, so why didn't the demon do something to stop it?
I didn't do it.
Huh?
Why didn't it?
I don't know. That's a good question because the demons tell you to do all these bad things. Why couldn't the demon get you mad enough to get the best of Ian? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know either. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Why?
I don't know. The demon's this
I don't know why.
all-powerful thing that tells you to do bad things and you're afraid of it. Why did the demon just take over right then when Ian was getting the best of you and get the best of Ian? Well, why did the demon not do that? Why do you think?
Trying to figure it out.
I don't know. I can't figure it out either because I don't think the demon exists.
Can I think?
I don't think it exists.
No, like.
I think that go ahead, bud.
Am I able to like think to myself about it?
Yeah, sure.
That's all I'm asking.
Hey, you can think all you want. I'm just
thinking about the demon.
All right. Well, you want me? I'll leave you to think for a while, and I'll come back and talk to you. I personally I think you're using the demon as an excuse.
I'm not. I promise.
You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for marijuana. You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for Xanax. You could have stopped the demon by illegally doing marijuana, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon by doing Xanax illegally, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon anytime you want. You didn't want to stop the demon.
The subject seems to be coming to the realization that he's not going to be treated as a victim. As he begins to meet this reality, you will notice him exhibit signs of fear. You will then see him attempt to escape the confrontation by feigning a state of psychosis once more. The detective will recognize this, but this time will not afford reassurance. He will instead apply further condemnation, and a visibly frightening realization will engulf the suspect from that point forward. It's essentially the very beginning of retribution. The detective introduces him to the rest of his life at this moment.
No, that's not true.
You didn't. You could have. I've given you 4 ways you could have stopped the demon, man. Okay, now you're just acting like that because...
No.
Okay, well, relax. You're just acting like that because I'm making sense. Calm down. I'm making sense, and you don't like when it makes sense.
No.
Because it doesn't fit into the story you're telling right now.
I'm telling you the story. It's true. It's just,
why are you looking at your arm now?
I'm trying to understand why.
Well, why didn't you want to stop the demon?
I don't know.
Because I think you like the demon.
No, I don't.
Why didn't you stop it then?
I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon.
Well, that's if the demon even exists.
Can I get an attorney or something?
You want what? An attorney?
Yeah.
Did the demon, the voices tell you to get an attorney? Okay. All right. Will you tell the voice that don't hit yourself in the head, because the attorney the demon just requested, I will stop talking to you.
I'm scared.
You're scared of what?
Scared of what? Why wouldn't he protect me?
What?
Why wouldn't he protect me, man?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he protect me?
All right. Well, again, your demon wants an attorney. Does the demon know an attorney? Any name in particular? Okay. All right. Well, just relax. You're done talking to me. And once again, I grabbed the wrong key. Do me a favor, stay seated. Put your hands, kind of sit forward in your chair. I'm going to put handcuffs behind you. Since you keep talking about hurting yourself. Hold on. Put your hand behind your back. No, not behind the chair, behind your back. I don't want to make you that uncomfortable.
Oh, why don't you want me to hurt myself?
Because what did the demon say about me? I'm a nice guy.
Oh, my eyes. My eyes.
Nicholas Cruz was taken to the Broward County Jail, where he remains in isolation to this day. His trial date is yet to be scheduled.
The 20-year-old has been held without bond since last year's mass shooting that left 17 people dead. His attorney said he would plead guilty in exchange for a life sentence, but prosecutors rejected that offer and are seeking the death penalty.